You can absolutely conquer whatever it is you choose to confront. In this show, we talk PTG, we listen and believe, we support and empower.
Hey, that's what I always dreamed of, but I was nervous sometimes.
Yeah.
Each time I moved a little closer and a little closer
Yeah.
and a little closer,
Yeah.
and some told me, just take a leap of faith.
There you
Go ahead,
go.
let's jump.
Ready? Let's go. Leap of faith. There you go. Whoa.
Whether you have experienced domestic violence personally or not, someone you know has. Your circle of family, friends, acquaintances, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men will experience domestic violence at some point in their life. Physical abuse is only one of the many forms of domestic violence. Survivors also report experience of verbal, emotional, spiritual, sexual, financial, electronic, and so much more. Domestic violence does not discriminate. It can leave you traumatized and devastated, mentally, emotionally, financially. You can find yourself homeless, jobless, helpless. The list can go on. There's blankets of insecurities, triggers, doubts, and other residual effects that become hurdles that impact our life as we do our best to move on. Many people associate butterflies with a sense of freedom. We've been taught along the way to focus on the transformation that takes place inside of the cocoon. I invite you to take a moment to conceptualize all the odds the caterpillar was up against and needed to defeat in order to get to a safe place, to build its cocoon and actually experience the transformation. My name is A. Garcia. I am a mother and survivor of a double attempted homicide. Now, I'm dedicating my life to take yours to the next level by experiencing post-traumatic growth to begin a new chapter in your life. Let's get started on this journey together. You can absolutely conquer whatever it is you choose to confront. In this show, we talk PTG, we listen and believe, we support and empower. Hey, Garcia here. Thank you for tuning in and welcome to Confronting Domestic Violence. What we cover is not intended to ignite any triggers. What you want to conquer, you must confront. Today, I have a guest who is willing to openly share their story, their struggles, and their triumphs. Thank you. Without further ado, Clarice.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Thank you for asking. Happy New Year. Thank you for being on the. So I'm just going to tell our listeners, as we spoke behind stage for a little while before we got on here, we were talking about your personal situation that you experienced and some of the struggles that you went through. You were talking about the longer term effects, not so much the real time or the short term, but the longer term. So I am really excited to dive in and pick your brain and share some of the wisdom and the triumphs that you've gotten through this far in life. And so wherever you're ready and willing to open up and share your story, we're ready to listen.
Great. I guess I'll start with, I was dating this guy who probably was my first love. And back when I was dating him back years ago, when I was like 18, he was that cool guy. He was that guy that everyone knew, everyone loved, everyone respected. He wasn't the most finest looking man, but his swag, his money, keywords, his money caught my attention. And we dated. Fast forward, he went away to jail, and I met my ex-husband. And then we were married for 10 years. But during that time, I used to have nightmares. And I used to wake up out of my sleep, like out of breath or crying or feeling like he was coming to get me after he went away to jail. I knew he went away, but subconsciously, I started having these nightmares. And I would wake up and I would be out of breath and I would be panicking because I thought he was going to come and get me. Got past that, married for 10 years, divorced. He got out of jail right when me and my ex-husband decided to leave each other. Was the same time he got out of jail. So the same time I moved back home to my mother was the same time he came home from jail. We rekindled. Why did I do that? Why did I go back?
What did you leave? What was the relationship before he went to jail?
Before he went to jail, I don't know. Like, I was in love with him. No, it didn't matter what he went away for. I was going to stick with him through thick or thin.
Right.
That was my mindset.
What created those nightmares that you were having when he went to jail? What was the relationship before he went to jail?
Okay, so now that I can talk about it, what created the nightmares was the reason why he went away to jail. He went away to jail because the mother of his children, it was said that he had stabbed her 80 something times in a fight that supposedly he got in between because he went home and he saw her with another man, and him and the other man got into a fight. Well, she got stabbed multiple times. She didn't die, but I think she was handicapped or is handicapped. And so his side of the story was he didn't do it. And I was like, okay, you didn't do it, but something in my spirit wouldn't let me rest because I'm like, okay, whatever. But when I started having the nightmares, it brought to me that maybe I was really scared. And I was scared of him. I was scared that he would do the same thing to me, but I would never say it. I would never stress it to anyone. I would never stress it to my ex-husband at that time, or still ex-husband. I would never stress it to like my mother or to my friends. I was scared.
And you kept that fear to yourself. You never said anything.
And I kept that fear to myself.
Was the fear there before he went to jail, or it was like almost subconscious after he went away?
It was subconscious after he went away. The whole time he was there, I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared of him. Everybody was scared of him. Like, he just had that type of clout, but I wasn't scared of him at all. I never thought he would do it. Like, he promised me a house, like everything. He promised me the world. And because I think he was my first, I went with it. But then fast started having the nightmares. And then my children's father at that point, he was like, you really need to talk to someone. This is what's going on. This is what's going on. When he got out of jail, I went back to him.
Were the nightmares over? Were you able to work through that?
The nightmares were over. As fast as they came was as fast as they left. And I started dating him again. But it was torture because, again, he was away for 10 years. So imagine dating someone that has been away for 10 years.
You didn't know him anymore.
No. So you have someone that has been away for 10 years on top of someone that lost his children, that went away to jail because of something that he said happened. So he was a mess, right? But I went back to him. And he used to stalk me every day. So while we were dating, it wasn't stalking for me, but every day he would walk with me. He would go with me to work. He would pick me up. He did that for 15 years, every single day. Whenever I would leave the building where I was living at, if I didn't if I didn't let him know I was leaving the building, because I lived on the 5th floor, he lived on the 2nd floor.
Of
If
the
I
same
didn't
building?
of the same building, because remember, I moved back home to my mother. He moved back home to his parents' house.
Which is in the
Same building.
Okay, so you weren't putting 2 and 2 together. You weren't thinking, okay, this is extreme. This just seemed natural because
No,
of the circumstances.
I thought it was fate. I'm like, oh, maybe we are meant to be together. And things were okay. Again, the money thing. He would buy me whatever I wanted. He would take me out to the finest restaurants. He would give me whatever. But if I didn't do certain things, he would ask for everything back. He would ask for his jewelry back. He would ask for like the clothes. The only thing that he didn't ask for back was whatever he bought for my children.
Hmm. So here comes
that he would not ask for, but anything for me, yes. The mink coat, he wanted it back. The whatever valuable, he wanted it back. So like a stupid at that time, I would give him everything back because I'm like, I didn't need it anyway, but you wanted to buy it. Oh, whatever.
Right.
But anyway, he like I said, he would come with me to work every day. He would pick me up every day. He didn't want me to go out with my friends. He didn't want me to spend time with my mom. He was super jealous of my children's father. He would not want me to see my children's father at all. He, please, oh my God, the things he used to do. Oh my God. He was jealous of my best friend. My best friend, he would not want, if she brought me a Christmas gift or a birthday gift, he was jealous. He didn't want her to buy me anything. He was the only one that could give me anything. His words was, I'll take care of you. You don't need anyone else. I'll give you everything that you need. He wanted me to quit my job and go on welfare. He was like, quit your job, go on welfare. Whatever money I make, we could bank and we'll live off of the system. He wanted me to do that. Oh, Jesus, he wanted me to do so much. Like I think of these things and I'm like, oh my God.
And let's pause right there, because today you're older, you're a beautiful mother, you're a beautiful grandmother, you're married, happily married. And looking back now, what are you realizing when you're saying these things?
I'm realizing that I feel foolish in a sense because although I knew all of those things, I accepted all of those things. At first, it was cute that he would pick me up from work and take me,
What a
that was
gentleman,
cute.
right?
Yeah, at first, because he was always like a gentleman. He was, he was a gentleman like that, but underlying, he was very controlling. He didn't want me to be with anybody but him. And I became a liar. I used to lie. I lied all the time. I would lie to go hang out with my friends. I would lie to go and cheat because I'm like, okay, you doing all this. What are you doing? I would lie to my mother. I would lie to everyone, either to be with him or I would lie to him to be with someone else, be it my mother, my family, my friends.
So it sounds like looking back today, there's no need to feel stupid because you were young. This was your first love. It's called being naive. Like we don't know what we don't know until we experience it. And it sounds like the manipulation was little by little. And I think what we can share with our listeners from that is once you see or feel the gradual, and because it could be gradual, it's not something that happens overnight. Yeah.
Right.
Where if you see that you're starting to feel isolated, where you feel like there's one thing to explain yourself to somebody and there's another thing to answer to somebody. You're at that place where you're answering to somebody and you're feeling like you can't move or navigate in the world like an independent individual when you are one as an adult. Those are the signs. And there's a control wheel that is out there for domestic violence. And I think that it's something that I'll put on this show so people can see that control wheel. And it has talks about the different signs to see, to know when you are in a bad situation. And it doesn't sound like it was physical. You're saying that it was more that financial, the wine and dine, let me buy you this, let me buy you that. Awkward, but I can totally see why you wouldn't double question or guess why he's in the same building. But you also mentioned 15 years. So talk to me about 15 years. Was 15 years, are you including the before jail and after jail, or 15 years after he came out, this is what you dealt with?
15 years after he came out, this is what I dealt with. I lived with my mother. Me and my 3 children, we lived with my mother in a 2-bedroom apartment for, I want to say, maybe 9 years, with him living underneath me. So I lived on the 5th floor, he lived on the 2nd floor. Whenever I walked out the building and go somewhere, depending on the direction, I walked right past his building. And if he wanted to look out the window to see, he could see me. So even if I said, oh, I didn't leave the building, he saw me. And he was the type of person that everyone in the neighborhood knew him. Everyone knew me, but I didn't know them. So he would tell people, or people just automatically knew that I was his girl. So whenever they saw me someplace, they felt obligated to tell him. So he would wait and then question me, where were you this day? Oh, I was so-and-so. Are you sure? Yeah, because I knew I was there, but I was lying. But he knew I was there because someone had told him. Someone either told him or he followed me. And that went on for 15 years. I had to move to Pennsylvania to get away from him. That was my only way to get away from him. And even with me moving to Pennsylvania, I still felt someone knew me. I still had to look over my shoulder. He would still meet me at work and walk me to the bus stop every single day.
Did you ever tell him to stop and to leave you alone?
Yeah. I was like, what are you coming to pick me up? Why are you coming to pick me up? Like, you don't have to do. He got a job driving the bus. The bus is for the city we lived in. And he fixed it so that the depot was near where I would get on the bus. So it was nothing for him to leave home, come to my job, walk me to the bus stop, and then walk right to work.
So it didn't seem like it was anything abnormal because it just had this flow to it, and it just didn't seem like it was stalkish.
Yeah.
So when did he so you had to actually physically move with your children out of state in order for him to stop it?
Eventually it stopped. It took years, but he did get the picture. I don't know what happened. I don't know if someone started, I don't know what happened, but he eventually got it.
Can we say that maybe your consistency of saying no and leaving and going further away had a lot to do with it?
I would think so. I think me moving was what I needed to do. And I think that's what needed to happen. If I would have stayed there, I don't think I would have ever gotten out of that.
So during those 15 years, did you tell your friends or family at all during that point that you were feeling like you were being stalked, that you didn't feel right, that you were in fear, that he needed to go away? You still kept quiet about all of it?
I kept all of that quiet. And what happened, because I didn't talk about it, I developed anxiety issues. I was scared to go to sleep. I thought I was going to die. I developed like this heart arrhythmia thing that like I would just be sitting down and my heart would just start racing. It was just like all those years of holding in and not talking about what I was going through or my fears, I think created like a real sense of anxiety that I still struggle with to this day. Excuse me if you hear my granddaughter crying, but I till this day, I still suffer with anxiety. And I really believe that it stemmed from that.
Because you never really, or I don't want to assume, did you ever really face it and work through it to overcome those fears and feel safe again? Because it sounds to me like it wasn't until you removed yourself from the situation completely that it caught up to you, physically speaking, because of all the mental and emotional breakdown.
I honestly speaking, I don't. I'm the type of person that I just put things in the back of my head and just be like, oh, I'm not dealing with it. But to say face it, no, I don't think I really faced it. I think I just suppressed it. And no, I really haven't faced it. No.
And that's normal, because as women, as mothers, as professionals, as so many hats that we wear and so many things that we have to keep it together, a lot of us do suppress it and stay quiet and don't mention it, whether it's the social stigma, the embarrassment, the ego, the pride, whatever. There's so many different reasons, but there is a thing with mind-body connection. And it was like your body knew that it was time to release what the mind had been accumulating for so long, having an outlet to be released. So with you sharing that today, you actually still have some of these issues that you're working through that stemmed from that. It is never too late to confront what needs to be confronted so that you can be completely healed and girl, enjoy your marriage and your
and oddly enough, he passed away. He passed away during COVID. And what's crazy is I didn't cry. I didn't cry. Yeah. I did
feel safer.
I feel safer, but the crazy thing is I always felt safe. I never, I was always scared of the what if he did do that. I still, and I don't know, maybe I'm still, but I always believed that he wouldn't do that to me. If that sounds crazy.
I know it doesn't sound crazy. I think a lot of us, when we're in love, and we can be in love with a criminal and believe that they wouldn't do that to us. And I don't want to say criminal. I want to say
a violent person. Yeah.
Just because they did something violent to somebody else doesn't mean that they would do that to me. And you can believe that, because when you love somebody so much, it can blind your logic. And how do you convince yourself, or I don't want to even say convince yourself, but how do you bring that sense, that logic to yourself, saying, okay, you know what, if he did do that to somebody else that he loved and he loves me too, why wouldn't he do the same thing to me? It's the capability of the person. If that person is capable of doing that, then what makes me any different? But when that love factor is involved, you don't think like that.
You don't think like that.
You don't think like that. Yeah. So I would like to say that for our listeners today, this is a part of the wounds to wisdom, the wounds that you have endured. And it's not just the 15 years of this like secretive, almost covert type of stalking, but it's also this long term. How many years later is it now? And you're still dealing with some of these things because you have not confronted them yet.
Yeah.
And confronting isn't necessarily a negative thing. Confronting means that you care enough to seek a resolution to it so you can have the outcome that benefits you.
Yeah. It's crazy. And you know what's crazy? Like my kids keep telling me, Mom, you need to go to his grave. And I'm like, why? I'm like, why do I need to? And they're like, no, you need to go to his grave.
Have you thought deeper to answer that question as to why for yourself? Have you asked yourself Why opposed to asking them?
I ask them and they're like, oh, because you need to grieve. That's what they tell me. But I don't know that. I don't know. I need psychic therapy.
Can I offer an opinion?
Therapy.
Yes. Yes, I can offer an opinion.
Yes, you can
Okay.
offer your. Yeah.
Okay. Personally, I think that seeking help is something that is normal. I think that I use an example of Mary J. Blige. That's my girl, 100%. She's been through it and she didn't get through it all by herself. She sought help.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and a lot of people do, because when we internalize, when we train our brain, it becomes conditioned. And if it's negative and it's negative for so long, it requires that help. It requires that accountability partner. It requires different tools and techniques that you're not exercising because you're not aware of that. And
Right.
extending that opinion a little bit further, I've gone to plenty of doctors and people that have all these great credentials. At the end of the day, I gravitated towards those that have been through something similar that I've been through, so that we do have a better connection and understanding, in my opinion. For you, obviously, if you're stating that you do have some of these things that you do want to confront and that you do need to seek help, help is out there. It's finding the right help that is beneficial
Right.
to you, where you connect. And there is this program, it's called Be Your Incredible Self. Be Your Incredible Self has some awesome programs and boot camps and one-on-one coaching. So you can check that out.
Oh, I'll check that out. Yes.
But as it relates to your children, in my opinion, perhaps for yourself, digging a little bit deeper into that why question to go and visit that grave site, I personally, as a coach, would say, if that's what you feel would bring closure, if that's what you feel, if that's the place that you feel comfortable, where you could say everything that you want to say, that you've been holding in, that you have built up, whether it was that 20-year-old self or this older, wiser version of yourself, whatever it is that you feared or suppressed that you wanted to say. And now that he's not on this planet, it's just a gravestone, you're safe there.
Yeah. 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 I didn't think about it like that. Safe there. Yeah. Yeah.
You're safe there to release. You're safe to release and to be your true authentic self. And
Right.
I personally also believe that what doesn't kill us does make us stronger. And what he did and what you went through, if it wasn't for him and that learning experience that you've had, you would not have been able to teach your kids or see things from a different angle and provide your insight. And you wouldn't be able to be a happy wife right now. So
Right.
and that's what post-traumatic growth is all about. Post-traumatic growth is all about self-growth, becoming wiser and stronger from the trauma that you went through. And that was some serious psychological, emotional trauma.
For years. Undercover trauma. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that covert. That is so hard to detect. And especially when you're in love.
It is, because it comes off as not really even so much controlling. It just comes off as, oh, he really loves me. Because people see, oh, you got this, you got that, you go in here, you go in there. Oh, he really loves you. He really takes care of you. That's how it comes off. But what they don't know is, okay, yeah, he bought me all of this stuff, but if I get caught in a lie, he wants everything back. Every time I go somewhere, he wants to know where I'm going. If I'm on the phone with someone and he calls me and I don't pick up, why didn't I pick? So people don't see all of that. They just see all the good stuff. They don't see all the stuff that you're going through. And because of that person, you don't want to be the one girl that's, oh, he's full of this, he's full of that, he does this, he does that. You don't want to do that because you're probably scared. So it's that slow progress manipulation, and that is crazy, but it is real. And
it's a very high price, a very high ticket to not pay attention to those types of behaviors.
It is. And you know what? Like I knew, as much as I probably might have married him, there was something in me that would not let me do it. As much as I loved him, there was something that would not let me marry him. He asked me to marry him. I told him no. And he couldn't believe it. And all I kept saying was, I need to have peace. There was something in me that would not let me rest.
And there you have it. I think you're hitting the nail on the head for some of our listeners, and hopefully the younger generation as well, because really that's your instinct, that's your intuition. Listen to it. When we get older, we will doubt ourselves, we'll question our intuition. But when we're younger, it's no, but we feel that and we go with what we feel. Then later in life, what in the world happens to it? Where did it go? That's a bigger flag or a bigger thing too. Don't lose that about yourself, because you better than anybody.
Yeah. I always tell my daughter, follow your instincts. If you don't follow anything else, if you don't even listen to what I'm saying to you, that gut feeling, if something is not letting you rest, if something is not giving you peace of mind, a relationship or whatever, you pay attention to that. It's very important. And those are the things that I didn't do initially, but towards the end, I fought for it. No, I love you, but I need my peace of mind. And actually, that's what I said to him probably the last 3 or 4 years that I say we were dating. I just kept telling him, I love you, but I need my peace of mind. I can't be with you. I need my peace of mind. I kept telling him that. I kept telling him that. And I don't know if that helped, but it helped me to move away from him mentally, emotionally, and to be able to meet other people. But we still kept in contact. But I didn't have that connection anymore. So I wasn't scared. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm so proud of you. I'm happy that you're here telling us that you fought for yourself, that peace, that inner peace of mind, peace at home, peace as a mom, not worrying if he's like stalking and watching while you're doing errands with your children. That is such a scary place to live, and a place you don't belong to live. That mindset and that mind frame is what I'm referring to exactly. So I'm really happy to hear that you tapped into that intuition and you started realizing that your inner peace was completely disrupted and you were not going to marry, even though you were that in love and that manipulated and ready. It was still this thing stopping you, and that was you, your strength. Yeah. I'm glad. Thank you so much.
Thank you for letting me talk about it. This just makes me realize that there's still work that I need to do. And I just have to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. And listen, there's nothing wrong with that. We carry stuff for a very long time. And again, if we don't know that it's there, if we're not tripping over the pile we swept under the rug,
right.
You know, we're not really dealing with it. But sometimes when we are communicating with other people that have gone through it, like you and I right now, things do surface and come up. And then you realize how it is still affecting you in your current life. And it's never too late to work on yourself. Self-growth is forever until our last breath.
Until our last breath, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, thanks. But this has been good. Thank you.
Absolutely. And please share a statement of wounds to wisdom for our audience. What would your wounds to wisdom statement be?
Follow your instincts. That's it. Follow what your gut is telling you. If you have the slightest doubt, follow it. It will never steer you wrong. Yep.
That's right. Thank you. Yeah. And I'm not sure if you're big on social media or if you have a following or a business where people can find you. If so, you could share that information now as well. And if not, that's fine.
No, I'm whacked. I don't follow that whole social media stuff.
That's not whack, girl. Listen, that's how you want to live. I did that almost my entire life. I just now am coming out on social media.
Yeah. No, this is it. This is all you're going to get.
Thank you very much for being on Confronting Domestic Violence. It's about bringing awareness, sharing our stories, empowering others, and providing our resources as much as possible to help anybody that needs it. Even if it's one listener, we reach somebody.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Confronting Domestic Violence is a 501c3. All contributions are encouraged and welcomed. Nobody should suffer alone. Please scan the QR code and help make a difference. Confronting Domestic Violence is a 501c3. All contributions, volunteers, and sponsorships are welcomed. It takes a community to make a difference. Nobody should suffer alone. Please scan the QR code.